Hi, Winnie.
Hey!
Thank you for joining me on Inside the Industry. I'm so excited to have you.
Yay, I'm excited to be here.
Listen, this has been a long time coming for me. I mean, we have a mutual friend, Christine Torto, which you met in LA and have known. She's my bestie of 25, 26 years. So I've heard many stories about you in the dance community being out in LA, but I've never gotten to meet you. So this is a true pleasure.
Me too. I've heard nothing but great things about you
Okay,
and just
bye.
how amazing of a makeup artist you are. And I actually wish I could get my makeup done by you so I could look
Stop. Don't say that because I will come to LA today and do it. So don't. Well, I'm super stoked because you are literally, to me, this topic is really interesting. And am actually authentically super stoked to ask you these questions because I want to know all about touring. I know you do a lot. You are a full-time, and correct me if I'm wrong, dancer. Like, that's your whole life.
I mean, yeah, that's basically my whole life because I'm here on an O1 visa, so I can't really do anything else but what. Yeah.
Stop it. Wait, describe me that visa real quick. What does that mean for you?
So I'm Canadian, and I applied for a visa, and like, there's like a whole bunch of stuff that you have to, prepare for your case and whatever. But like, once you're approved, you can work here for a maximum of like 3 years at a time. And I can't do any like, part-time side gig jobs. Like if if times were low, I can't go to like Urban Outfitters and get like a part-time job or anything. So literally, all I can do is like performance-related jobs. So like, obviously, I can do something if it's like acting on a TV or show or something like that, but I cannot do anything else other than performance related jobs.
Wow. Well, that's actually kind of okay. I don't want to say good because that adds a lot of pressure. I understand that that's like stressful, especially I'm sure when you first came over here, you're like, I have no option of failure.
Hot mess. I was a
Yeah.
hot mess. And like my mom even told me, she was like, you can't have a plan B because if you have a plan B, then you're just setting yourself up for failure already. Like you're saying that you're going to fail. So I came out here and I was like, all right, here we go.
Here we go. Well, honestly, clearly it worked out for you. So that's good.
God, yeah.
It worked out really well. I mean, for those that don't know you, I mean, I know you. I literally stalk your Instagram because I love watching your journey. It is impressive to say the least. You've worked with some of the high elitist artists out there as far as touring with them as a dancer. I mean, you've done a lot of Grammy performances. I mean, just touring, music performance, all around. You've done like a full gamut. As far as like if I was a dancer, what I'd want to be doing, you've like hit every single thing that I'm like, yep, that would be a goal. That would be a major goal. I want you to kind of tell me about that a little bit. What is the process of you getting booked with, and I'm going to name drop because it is impressive, honey. Your resume is loaded. You have toured with the likes of Katy Perry, Rihanna. You've performed with Beyonce, Offset, Cardi B. I mean, these are like some of like the tops, baby.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Tell me a little bit about how is it like getting that gig? What is, I know it's a lot of time and effort, and it's not an overnight success thing at all by any means. So for you, how many years did it take you to kind of get that ball rolling?
For me personally, I mean, the first year and a half of being in LA was pretty rough. Like it was like, and my rent was only like $400, and I was living like, like paycheck to paycheck. Like, I was living in an apartment where people let their dogs poop in the hallway. Like, so you'd always have to like watch where you're going. It was super, super like just the,
Yeah.
but yeah, it took me like a year and a half, and after a year and a half, I went to an audition that was for Katy Perry, but I didn't know it was for Katy Perry. They just said, like upcoming, projects. So I went, and at the time I was like really happy with like all the training that I was diving into. Like I was, really getting into like fundamentals of like house and hip hop, stuff like that. And so I went, I made it almost to the end. I didn't get put on tape, but they told me they loved me and that, like they're so appreciative of me being there. So I was like, you know what? I'm in a positive place in my life. Like I'm just proud of myself for making as far as I did and showing like them what I'm capable of. And somehow like a week later, I get an email from my agent being like, they want to use you like to workshop for Katy Perry. And I was like, wait, are you sure they didn't make a mistake? Because I didn't make it to the end. I'm not on tape. Like, how is this possible? And they were like, no, they're asking for you to come into workshop. So we went into workshop and there was, I don't remember exactly how many there was of us, but probably around like 10 or 12 of us that they called back. And like each day there would be like one or two less people and you're just like, what's happening, you know? And then by the end of the week, Katie came in herself and, you know, she like looked at like different groupings of people that she wanted to see together. And then I booked it. What? Crazy, because it still can't get over it because I didn't make it to the end of the audition. So it was just, that was an incredible feeling. That was the first time I ever had like a consistent paycheck for like several months in a row. Mm-hmm. And granted, it was also a very big learning experience for me to know how to utilize my money properly, you know? So yeah, we did the whole like first time splurging, wasting money on all this stupid shit that you just don't need in the end, you know? But yeah, so that started, and then I thought, you know, that like once you have your like first big thing and people see you doing all this stuff that like, yeah, it's gonna just keep on going. But it's not, it's rarely like that for people. Like sometimes there are like some, you know, very lucky individuals that like once they hit the one job, it like just rolls and rolls and rolls, you know. But for me, after that, I didn't end up going on that world tour particularly, and I ended up having to like try and establish myself again because being away for like 6 months at a time working with one choreographer, one artist, it's great for your resume, but then you're still I was still quite new to LA, and so a lot of other choreographers hadn't seen me. They haven't had the opportunity to work with me, you know, so I still had to like build those kind of connections and try and get myself out there more. So I think that was Katy Perry. The first promo tour was like 2013 into 2014. Then I had that year of just kind of like building myself again. 2015, I did the Super Bowl with Katy Perry. And and then I had to renew my visa at that point. And then after that, it was like another year of just kind of like, you know, a decent amount of work, still not like really super, super successful that like the way that I wanted to be. Totally. But I was getting myself out there. I was doing I was training still, like, you know, all day, every day. And then eventually in 2000, I think it was 2016. Yeah, I booked the Rihanna World Tour. And then since then, it's been pretty like, you know, consistent for me, and like people are getting to know who I am, and like I'm
seeing your face. They're like, wait a minute, I've seen her in a couple people. It starts to pick up that way. And I like what you mentioned, because I feel like a lot of people that don't know the business, and especially on the side of dancers and how y'all book, it's interesting to me that you said, you know, the choreographers don't know me. So I feel like in a makeup world, or how actors need to get in front of the casting agents, it's essentially that your choreographers are your casting agents, because they're really like, hey, I see her style, I like her, you know, I want to take her on, or whatever they might be doing. So are those the people you really want to be in front of? Is that correct?
Yes, definitely. You definitely want to be in front of choreographers. But also like a lot of choreographers tend to like start transitioning to like creative directing or like producing and stuff like that. It's just, you just kind of want people to just know you, your face, like your talent, your ability, and your like professionalism, and, you know, your work ethic. Like those things are very, very important. Like I've seen so many cases where people are so unbelievably talented, but their work ethic and their like professionalism just isn't like up to par. And a lot of you know, choreographers or directors and whatnot would rather work with somebody who has that great work ethic, the professionalism, is a smart dancer, who may, you know, objectively may not be the better dancer, but
Right.
they're still good enough like to execute everything that they want, and they get the job done quicker and in a more like they make the job easier, you know? Like nobody wants to work with someone who's difficult or
No.
is always late or who always has to ask questions on how to do something, you know? Like they want people who can like take direction and like run with it.
It's interesting. I love that you say that because honestly, I think just working in this business in general, that goes across the board, can be said for every single department.
I think
Because
so.
it said the same thing in makeup artistry. You can be good, but if you're a pleasure to work with, like you said, you have professionalism, you work, you're on time, you're fast, you're savvy, all these things, you're gonna continue to stay booked. And I agree. I see some really talented people, but it's still a business. And I think people forget that the business part of it is, well, you need to make me money. And if you're super talented, but you never show up on time, you're costing me money. You know,
Exactly.
if I got to work overtime just to get you to get these couple steps, or, you know, be to the fitting and doing that, you're costing me time and money. So you got to have all the things together. Do you feel like that was kind of built in you? Did you, I mean, I went to school, so we had a little bit of business training for people to be like, hey, this is what you need to do. Who like kind of helped you, or is that just in you? You kind of knew like common sense how to act.
I feel like it was just it was built in me kind of because like I'm like a super big perfectionist. I'm very like I mean, I think we all are hard on ourselves, but I think I'm just like extremely hard on myself. So I just always want to make sure that I'm giving my very best. I don't ever want to disappoint or like embarrass people, you know. So I worry about all these things, so I never want to, you know,
Yeah.
I just don't want to let people down. And I already know that like there's all these like aspects to how you can possibly let someone down. So I just do my best to
Keep it together.
yeah.
Keep myself in line here. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to kind of dip into, it's kind of like segueing on that way. When you're out physically on tour, so now we've booked this gig, which
Right.
again is, you have booked a many and some phenomenal spaces that you've been in. I think that's the coolest thing about our business is, I mean, I've never wanted to be the lead artist or seek fame out of what we do, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want paparazzi people following me or knowing my business or all these things, but we still get to be in the rooms of and kind of live that lifestyle, if you will, of these incredible artists, and you're in that group and in that space. So that being said, when you're out there on tour, what do you feel is different that you have to bring to the table, or how you have to maneuver through each day? Whether that be, I mean, you can take me through the health aspect of how to keep up with your stamina and performing. I mean, I feel like if I ever toured with Rihanna, and all of them, I'd be like, okay, every day of my life is like the biggest day of my life. I wouldn't know how to act. Like, what do you do as far as preparation? I don't even know where to begin.
I don't even that's like a well, okay, health aspect.
Yeah,
Definitely.
let's go there.
I mean, my first tour with Rihanna, that was like a whole different experience than it was with Katy. I mean, they're two completely different artists. The camps were completely different. The people that I was surrounded by were different. That one was more of like, I mean, it was a first of everything for me. So I was really, you know, I was out partying a lot, like, you know, and like never being on a tour bus before, like we're staying up all night, like this and that. And granted, we were lucky that that tour particularly wasn't super taxing on the body, so it was okay if we like partied a lot. But
Yeah.
I'm so like sensitive with like my body internally and stuff that I can feel and notice the difference when I'm not taking care of my body properly. So thankfully though, like it didn't affect the way that I performed, because you know, I don't ever let it get too far.
Yeah, it's almost like you know where to cut it off. It's like, okay, I've gone out every night this week. I got to recoup this weekend. I got to like take it in. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, like we're not that famous to the point where like when you're walking like a city and like doing things that people will be like, oh my God, you're the dancers. You know? I mean, it happened before, like randomly here and there, where they'd be like, oh my God, Katy Perry dancers or something, you know?
Right.
But
no, I
a
know.
lot of times we'll be at the venue and they'll notice, you know, like the fans
walking
come up
out.
and Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still like, I mean, their main focus is obviously still the artist. So they're like a fan of you, but really they're more so a fan of like your connection with the artist, and they're,
Totally.
let's see, you know.
Yes.
But what hold on, I like lost my train of thought. What am I
I
answering?
love it. I'm the same. I'm like, there's so many things you just threw at me. But that's good though. I'm gonna ask you even another question. Because while you're out, okay, so you're day to day. I've toured in a very different aspect. So I'm not performing every night. I'm just in the crew. So when I tour with Lion King or other shows, it's like it's really during my day, it's a regular schmegular day. We don't have to do much. You know what I mean? I'm kind of like, especially when you're touring and you're in different cities, I can
Mhm.
go out and explore the city for the day, and I come in and I know, the show at night, and it's the same thing every night where I have to be. But I
Mhm.
actually am pretty free during the day, and then on our day off especially, I don't have to come in for any sort of rehearsals. I don't have to do any sort of, the only things we have is random put-ins, and then also just days where we have new actors coming in, or when we're loading out and loading in. Those are like the longer, more rigorous days. During your weeks when you've already settled in a city, are you guys nonstop rehearsing and then up until showtime, or what does your schedule look like from like morning to evening?
Oh no, we are free. We are free birds to explore the city. You know, unless like with Katie, she liked to sometimes like organize things for all of us to do together. So I mean, that's not like a commitment or anything, but you know, it's not like we do take the time to go and enjoy the things that she has planned
Team
for us.
building, yeah.
Yeah, but like other than that, yeah, we have the freedom. Like other like we just have a call time on show days when we have to be at the venue or when we have to be at the hotel if we're going to take the bus. But other than that, we're free to do as we please. The tours that I've been on, we never really like rehearsed every day. It was, we had sound checks, so like if there were any issues, like then we would resolve them during sound check. But I'm lucky that I wasn't on a tour that required us to rehearse, because I do know of tours
Oh,
that have their dancers like constantly in rehearsing for whatever, you know, this and that. So I'm thankful that I didn't have.
interesting. Yeah, you haven't, well, yet, Winnie, yet. You
Yes.
will probably most likely. Is it a completely different experience for you when you're leading up to, let's say, obviously touring beforehand? Is there how long is the process before physically going out on tour to learn the whole run of show for you guys?
Well, with Rihanna, I think we learned within, like, I think we fully did all the rehearsals for like a month. And
Okay.
I think we did production rehearsals for maybe like 2 weeks. That was
Interesting.
a shorter one because that whole tour, her purpose was to be like anti what the regular tours are like. So it was very minimalistic.
Yes.
So yeah, it wasn't as much of like a pop star like show where the dancers are like super involved and doing all these props and stuff. Like it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
But with Katie, I think we rehearsed June, July. I think we rehearsed around 2 months for just the dancing in the studio. And then we rehearsed for like a month in production, I think, around that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started somewhere in June and we didn't have our first show till like September. So
Okay.
yeah. I
They
mean, it
pick up a
really
little bit.
differentiates between shows depending on what's going to be incorporated. Like,
Yeah.
so obviously Katie's was longer because there were so many like props
Yes.
involved. Like,
I saw one of the shows you were in, and I was like, they have them bouncing basketballs. They have them doing that. You guys were involved.
yes, we were 100% involved. We
Yeah.
had many headpieces where you would like not be able to see things.
Yes.
You know, we had that flying beam where we had to buckle up. There was
Insane.
like moving matrix stage that, you know, went at different levels, and you know, that stage broke down like I think at least like two times where the matrix just stopped moving. And you know, you just have to like think on the spot and like communicate with each other and like figure out how we're going to proceed, because yeah, a lot can go.
Well, and it's so weird too, like, because live shows, one, that's always like, okay, whatever's out there is going to happen. But two, it's like, as a dancer, I feel like, when you're getting prepared to get thrown into this world, Did they tell you, it's like you don't know, it's like you're learning all these kind of new skill sets via each job, correct?
For sure. Well, at least for me, that's how it is.
Yeah, like 100%. Because, like you had said, and I know personally with following you and seeing how you move, it's like you really, when you're not touring, you also are doing so much training. And you mentioned that earlier. And I think that's really extra special. And I think that is something that I'm sure you recognize within yourself. And obviously, the community does that books you, is you keep elevating yourself and you keep honing your craft. And I think people get really lazy in every part of our industry, that once we've kind of made it or we've gotten the gigs, especially like you, I mean, hot out the gate, you got some really top-notch tours under your belt. And so it would be really, I feel like, easy for you to just be like, done, did it, made it, and then fall back. But you really don't. You just continue to keep working, and putting all these hours in. And I want to kind of speak on that a little bit, because I feel like it is so important for dancers. It's an evolution, you know what I mean? Like, it's an evolving craft. Things are definitely trending, and depending, I'm sure, on the tour, the artist, and what they incorporate. It's like, what if you don't know that certain style, you haven't practiced that certain movement with your body, and then you're thrown into it? It's like riding a bike, you're kind of like, okay, I'll get it, but you know, it doesn't always hit right off. It's like, what is so important to you about continuing training?
Well, for me personally, I'm just someone that is never satisfied.
Yeah.
You know? Like, there's always room to grow. And like, especially in a, like you said, it's ever changing, it's ever evolutionizing, you know? But there are still like very set fundamental types of, you know, dancing that I think is just always good to have. Like, if you want to be a dancer that is well-rounded, you know, like, that's okay if you want to just be like, let's say, like a technical dancer. If that's your thing, then yes, run with it, you know. But like, I'm not someone that, like, I would describe myself as one of those, like, what is it, like, jack of all trades or whatever.
Yes,
like,
girl. Yes, you got all the
never a master of anything, but like, just like good at like kind of like everything, you know. Like, and I'm also, I don't think I have ADD, but like, I have, like, you know, where
raise your hand if you.
I don't know, I've never been diagnosed, but like, I'm very much, things just interest me at all times, and I always want to do 7,000 things all at once. Totally. Which is probably why I will never be a master at anything, because I just cannot focus on
keep
one
dipping your toes. Yeah.
So I'm just always, you know, I always find things, and I love to like try and grow in that craft, in that area, and I just think it makes life more interesting as well. And I think that maybe perhaps the people who do like settle, it's because they're not interested as much anymore. But like, that's how you keep things interesting, you know. You try like different things, and you keep going and seeing how much you can grow in each like little pool or whatever, you know.
Totally. So. And I feel like, just for longevity of your career, like, if I'm really trying to make this a lifetime career, I have to continually work at it, continually put in my training, and like you're saying, be open to trying things, because then the second I'm like, I don't want to do all that, it closes so many doors. I had to learn that the hard way with learning hair, because I hate hair, but I would have never booked any. I hate it. Still don't like it. But if I had to do it, I had to learn how to do wigs and style hair for Broadway, because none of my doors for Broadway would have opened. Nobody wanted to hire me unless I knew how to do quick changes and hair stuff, because I had to do a little bit of hair even in the makeup tracks. So if I had closed myself off, I would have been completely done for so many opportunities that then continued to propel me forward in my own career. So it's really a smart, I think, very useful mindset to keep, just constantly have an open mind. Me talking about makeup, I do want to know, because you guys do turn out some really sick looks, and you've gone to do some really fun hair and makeup on tour. And I'm very curious as a makeup artist, because I obviously know the lead artist, yes, she has their people back there getting them done every night, 100%. But what is it like for you guys? Like, do you have a plot that you're told, or you just get to do whatever you want?
Well, on both of them, we had like her makeup artist would give us like, all right, this is the look, you know. So Rihanna, I think we just did like a very smoky, like with blacks and like, was it like, I don't remember the colors really, like, but it was very like dark. And then we had black lipstick. yeah, everything was just very, did we have black? Oh my God, am I lying? Did we have?
I love that.
Oh yes, yes, we had black lipstick. We for sure had black lipstick.
Mhm.
Katie's was very like 80s inspired, so we had to use like purple eyeshadow. We had like this red lip.
Yes.
But on both of them, like we always start out doing exactly what they want, and then we're just like, mm,
I want to do a
this,
little.
yeah, this makes me look a little bit nicer, so we're just gonna like go with it, but like still do what we want.
Yes.
With it outside. Like
Yes.
it's just funny seeing the before and afters, like who really stuck to the beginning and who really evolutionized. Like Katie one time was like, "What color are you wearing? That is not purple." Like, and they tried to like say that it was purple, but it was basically like it was a color of purple, but it was very plum burgundy, so not the like
not like the 80s. Yeah,
not like that at all. So, but
oh,
whatever. Like on stage, in the end, like we just need to see your features.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Oh, I love it. And have you always felt like you're good at doing makeup? Like, do you like getting yourself put through?
I
part of getting ready. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy doing makeup, but I really love having people who are good at makeup.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because there have been plenty of people who are not good or do not care enough to make me look good.
Oh no, Winnie.
And it's very frustrating because then I just end up doing it myself. But yeah, I enjoy the process. I used to do like studio competitive dancing growing up, and like my mom was always running late. Like she is just never good time. Yeah. So I would be stuck, like her racing in the car to get me to the, the venue on time, and I would just be doing my own makeup in the car as like a 10-year-old, doing eyeliner.
Mom, I'm 5. Why are you helping me?
Yeah, like it's so young doing my own makeup. So I would never call myself like a professional makeup artist or any. I just know how to like make myself look decent. I can make myself presentable.
Yeah,
I think though that like I've had interest, like I said, I'm very ADD. I've had interest in thinking about maybe if I finish dancing that I would want to be like a makeup artist. But I mean, I haven't dived into anything like that. But
oh my God, don't tell me that, because I want to move to LA in like 2 years, girl. So I will come and give you all. I'll just like do it.
Teach me. Woo!
Yes, I love that. But even with your, I mean, I feel like you had said, when people do your makeup, have you had any favorite like beatdowns that you've gotten for performances, Grammys, music award, anything that you've done that you're like, oh, that was like a sick look I got to be worked on?
There was one of the first ones that I always think about.
Yeah.
Her name is Amy Clark.
Clark.
She was one of the first makeup artists that I was like, oh my God, you made me look the best I've ever felt in my life. Like it's for this Ariana Grande music video. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the song.
Okay, she has so many.
Focus on me. That was the name of the song. And that was the first time that I was introduced to House of Lashes, because she used them on me, and she was like, oh my God, they're like perfectly shaped for you. They fit you like a glove. And I was looking at myself and I was like, oh,
she's right. Not lying.
I was like, these lashes I have never seen, but they look fucking phenomenal. So ever since that's the lash that I like to buy for myself.
I love that.
And then the Cardi B makeup was actually pretty great when we did.
And I loved y'all's braids. Like everybody had a moment. I'm a sucker when you all look the same, but it's almost like Fashion Week. You get the look. That's why I asked about plots. I'm like, y'all get told what to do and then you come and ask. But I love seeing it on like the broad spectrum of everybody, because it's like we're all the same, but we also look different, which I love. It just like geeks me out for some reason. I don't know why.
I love that.
Yeah.
What else?
Theirs was cool. I honestly, personally, really liked the Grammy makeup you had for Beyonce's performance when she was pregnant. First of all, mad that you were even in that, because that's a whole iconic moment in history. And I was like, Winnie, you're on the damn stage leaning. Beyonce's in the air. Like what?
that was crazy.
But I loved that, the simple like line. It was just really cool. I loved all that. It was that little signature moment.
It's so like picky with every detail. Like, I mean, I'm not one of her, regular dancers. They had a bunch of like extra, like added dancers to that performance, but she still, like, every time someone's makeup or hair was done, it was sent to her, and that she would come back with personal notes for each person. And I remember she had like she had a photographer going around and taking pictures of like each person, and she would specifically request like certain individuals to be grouped with certain other individuals for the picture that she wanted. And like
vision,
I'm like amazed that like I got picked to do this like one photo where I was like face on, and then there was like two other girls like here, so that was really cool. But
I love it. Yeah, her attention to detail with anything she does. I don't care what. It's a quick little to do, a morning show. Like, she's like, no, we have it together. That's why I'm like, anytime I feel lazy, I literally put on a documentary of her, and I'm just like, get it together, pull it together. You know better. You're gonna do better. This is fine. I love that. There's so much glamour with touring. A lot of like really fun and silly moments behind stage. A lot of candid things that I feel like makes the experience even more special, because it's stuff that you guys get to have. It's like that unique unit. I think of it in a very silly way. Like, we're on Real World. I can never say it properly. Real World Road Rules. You know, when they're like get in the house and it's like all these people and they're like, we are having a unique experience. And I'm like, yes, that's what touring's like. You get this unique group of people together. You guys get to go around and be in countries with one another. It's a very unique experience. Has there been a moment for you, or even a couple moments that stand out where you're like, yo, that was just one of the best times, or most like your aha moment of like, yo, I'm in it. You just really felt like, all the things you had wanted. You're doing something you love. You're seeing the world. It was just one of those like beautiful full circle moments for you.
It's always like that first show. Like, it's the very first show, like you're so, well, for me, I literally get so nervous that I want to like poop my pants and puke. I'm like,
hi, hello.
Every step that I know, do I even know it? Am I going to remember it when I step onto the stage?
Yes.
So it's always the first show. But I feel like I always have like, moments here and there as we tour. I'm like, oh my God, like,
yeah,
this is amazing. Like, this is the life that I, dreamt of having, and I'm so thankful that on both of my tours that I did, I had such amazing like people around me that I honestly like, we are family.
Yeah.
And Rihanna's was an extra special one, especially being my first one. And even for the other people on that tour, like, we still have like group chats, and we still like, try and get together every so often whenever we can. And even the band was like really cool with us. Like, we have like a band and dancer conversation still going.
Yeah.
That one was a really tight knit family, and a lot of the people who were on it who had done multiple tours before that were like, I've never been in like a situation that I loved so much. Like, it was just a perfect vibe between like the right individuals coming together. Katy was also amazing in its own way. I fell in love with so like these girls are so amazing in their own way. And like, we had gone to so many other countries that I hadn't gone to with like Rihanna, and even like little vacays with the girls, like in between legs and stuff. So that was pretty awesome,
Yes. No, those are the best. See, now I'm gonna flip it on you. Because those are the same thing with me. I'm like, it's never a one moment kind of deal. It's always like throughout it, I'll be living, which I think is good. We probably live pretty presently then, I feel like, if we're able to do that. You're aware of your surroundings at all times. That like, oh, still happening, still living the dream, still super grateful. This is incredible. I think with that being said, though, it's also very hard industry. We also I know I have made a lot of mistakes and learning curves where I've had to be like, okay, cool, never again. Almost lost the job on that one, but we didn't, so I got lucky. Have you ever had a moment or a major like faux pas that you were just like, it was soul crushing for you, but obviously didn't affect the trajectory of your life, but any like mess ups where you can remember being like, wow, that really sucked. That was an oh shit moment for sure. Even if you fell, Winnie.
I don't think that I can't recall right now having a moment of like, oh fuck, like,
that's good,
the job or something, but I've definitely fucked up. There is no question about that. I have fucked up many a times. Like, I remember on Rihanna, like, for some reason, there was this one part that one day I just like completely blanked, on what was happening, and my body was just like, wait, what? Like, I literally, and I had to like look over, and like my friend Rebby across the stage, who's my opposite, was looking at me, and she's trying to like be like, these are the moves, like come on. And I was like, I don't know what you're doing right now. None of that looks familiar.
No.
So I just freestyled, and then like I remember the next like 2 or 3 shows after that, I was freaking out, and I kept asking. I was like, guys, what is this part? And they're like, Winnie, chill. You have it. You're just letting it get to you. And I'm like, no. I really need to know what the step is again. And they would be like, no, you're fine. Get to that part, and I still fuck it up. And they're like, wait. And like it happened for like at least 2 more shows after, and they were like, okay, fine, like we'll tell you what it is.
We'll help you. They held it out for 2 shows.
They really believed that I, you know, was just psyching myself out. But it's just one of those things sometimes for me that like, if I make a mistake and it like traumatized me, you don't help me, like it's just gonna stay this traumatic experience.
Yeah, you're Pavloving me to keep making this mistake. I'm like, now every time I get to that moment, because I'm an overthinker like a bitch, so I really like, it will go so south so fast. I need somebody to tell me sometimes things over and over again right in the moment, just for me to like digest it properly. But I love that you freestyle, I guess. Just be like, anyways.
You know what though? Like that was like, I'm so thankful for all the moments that I have had brain farts on stage in a live performance, because it really teaches you how to, you know, get yourself out of these situations, because it's going to happen no matter how good you are, no matter how long in the game that you've been in it. You're going to forget at one point or another, and it's going to happen, and you need to know how to like proceed. You can't, you don't have the option of running off and being like, you know, like so many,
you just leave.
like, you know, and even on Katy, like I've definitely had like random like moments of like fuck ups, like where I do the complete opposite arm or something, and then I'm like, wait, what was that? Like, you know, but like I keep on going, and like on Katy, I also there was one time where my spat just like the zipper broke, and it was right. So like our high, like our thigh high like boots that we had, it wasn't a boots, but it was like a thing that we put around our boot to make it look like it was all one thing. So it was thigh high, and the zipper broke, so then it just slid down my leg. But it was when I was wearing a TV head, and we had to travel to the B stage, and I was like, fuck, like I don't want to fuck, like, so then I just like grabbed it, and I just kind of held onto it while we were like down there, and then when we were doing all the choreo, I let go of it, and it's just like saggy boot, and then I had to like pick it up on the way back up. And then there was, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know, did you see the time that I dropped the salt shaker?
No, your performance was perfect when I saw you. That's why I was like, she killed it. No mistake.
No. It's like an iconic moment in all the Katy Cats. Like it's like a fan fave.
Like, no, do they like meme your ass and they're like, they replay
everything? But you know, I don't mind it. Like I think it's hilarious. They like pay so much attention to my fuck ups. So normally we have like 2 people carrying each of the salt and pepper shakers that are like extra large. You know,
these big guys.
And I got sick in Johannesburg, and I missed 2 shows, I think. So I couldn't dance. And then they told me, the girls, that they were like, oh my God, Winnie, it was so hard to bring out the salt and pepper shaker because we had to do it one girl on each side, you know, because you weren't there. So we just had to even it out and one person had to carry it. And I was like, really? It was that hard? And they're like, no, Winnie, it was really hard. And I was like, I can do that. And they were like, Winnie, you probably should. And I was like, I can do it. Just let me do it. So I like begged and begged for like multiple weeks for them to just let me do the friggin' salt shaker by myself. And eventually they were like, all right, cool. This is the show that you're going to do it by yourself. And I was like, cool. So I went early, like during sound check, and I practiced like carrying the salt shaker, figured out how I was going to hold it. Everything was fine. So then when the show comes, I go back, and there's like very minimal time to bring the salt shaker out from the transition. And the person who handed me the salt shaker handed it to me backwards. So I was like freaking out, and I couldn't like, I was like, oh my God, it's the wrong way. And then they were like, well, you don't have any time. You have to go out. So I'm like holding it and trying to rotate it and like get the grasp of it properly, but it's just not working out. But I'm like, whatever, I'll make it work. So I'm there, but nothing's coming out of the shaker because I don't have it. I'm not holding it properly. And then Katy's singing, whatever, and I'm looking at the other girl holding the shaker, and she's laughing because nothing's coming out of mine. Then mine starts to tip, and I'm like trying to catch it, and then I'm like, oh fuck, so I keep trying to shake it, and then eventually it just like falls out of my hand, and it just like bounces on the floor, and I just go and try to run it after it. It's on my Instagram, but like
oh no, I'm gonna replay this so hard, but that is
for sure. Like, it's one of the best moments. Everyone had a great laugh. I thought it was a fuck up moment. I really thought she was gonna fire me.
Oh no,
but,
am I fired now?
I went off stage and I was like on the verge of tears because I was so appalled at what happened. But everyone else was pissing their pants. And normally after this section, Katy does like a quick change, and her change room's right next to the girls.
Yeah.
And then one of the dressers come in, and they're like, Katy wants you in her dressing room. And I was like, oh my god,
I vomit. Yeah.
Fired. And then I come in, and then she's like, girl, are you okay? Like, she's like, and I was like, yes. And she was like, what happened? And I was like,
oh
no. And she was like, that was the funniest thing ever. Like,
oh my god, thank God.
And I was like, oh, blessings.
Thank God, because I don't know if Beyonce would have responded that way. She would have been like, no salt shakers ever fall. I'm kidding.
Oh, you've seen the things where she's like, somebody's gonna get fired or whatever, when the lights get fucked up or the sound gets
pressure. She's like, no, everyone's out. See, that I need to start me on somebody. That's why I'm like, I love when you're saying when the right energy aligns, you're in the right group. I'm like, keep me in the group that will forever allow me to mess up, because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to always be.
I honestly think that like everything works out the way it's supposed to, that's best for you. And like and I believe this because I was supposed to go on tour with Katy that first time around, but then it didn't work out, and it devastated me at that point, because it's like early on in my career. I'm still young, like early 20s, and I'm just like, why would this happen to me? And then I realized that like I needed that time to establish myself. If I had gone on that tour for 2 years straight, right out of the gate, in my career, nobody else would know me, know? And also, who's to say that I was going to be mature enough to be able to handle all of the things that happens on a tour? And same with Rihanna. Like, I auditioned for her so many times, and like a lot of the times I would make it to the very end, and I would be devastated again that I didn't make it.
Right, like so close.
And I'm just like, I'm doing all the right training. Like, I know I'm like good enough, And when it came, I realized, I was like, oh my God, like the people that I was put together with on this specific tour, it was a brand new cast. Up until then, she was using like a lot of the same girls, give or take like one or two. And, like I don't know what my energy would have been like with all the other girls, like what the energy was between everybody, maybe it wouldn't have been enjoyable for me. But also maybe my thick skin would have been much thinner, and I would have given up at some point, because that first tour, definitely I had a lot of emotional ups and downs.
Yep.
And then coming full circle, I did eventually go on tour with Katy, but at the right time,
I love, Winnie, that you say that, because I think it is, especially, I always refer to it, and this is, somebody said it's not me, but I always think of it as, it really is divine timing, because there's so many times where, like you're saying, I want it so badly. I'm working so freaking hard, and I'm putting myself in the right positions, and I'm so close. And then I keep it's missing. It's off by like a millisecond. It just keeps sliding past you, and you're like, what? And I know I go home, I'm sure you do too. And you're like, what do I need to change? What do I have to redo? Like, there's just something off. We always think it's us, us, us. But really, truly, like you're saying, it's a bigger power, something somewhere is looking out for us and just putting us exactly where we need to be when we need to be there. And I feel like the more we just trust in that, not get lazy, don't keep working towards those goals and those opportunities.
Right.
But when we do allow it to just be, instead of forcefully getting us certain places, it always ends up better anyways. Because like you're saying, you might have hated the tour or not had a good time, or like even I so aligned with the not being mature. I look back at my career, because I started when I was 19, being on real professional sets. I was on union sets when I was like 20, 21, but a complete dingbat, like such a like loud, running around, not knowing when to be quiet, and just thinking like being silly was way more important than doing the job well. It was just like, get people to like you. You have to network. You want to book clients. I don't know how it worked for me a little bit, because it kept going, but it did bite me eventually, where it was like people were like, you're all over the place, you're scatterbrained, you're too, you know, you need to hone it in a little bit. And I was always like, what? It took a lot of maturing and time just for me to even just have your own personal growth. Because like you were saying, when did you physically, I mean, you've been dancing for a minute, but LA, how old were you in LA when you popped down?
I mean, I moved to LA when I was 21, and then
See, and that right there, it's like, okay, I'm 21. Like, what have I even experienced in my life thus far? Have I gone through certain things I need to have that thick skin, being thrown into this industry, learning how to bounce back, have the confidence, self-perseverance, all of that, not understanding my worth in these opportunities that are going to be given to you. It takes some time, but once you're in that magical like space, it really lets everything just become so much better. So I love that you said that. That's incredible. Yes.
Yeah, it definitely helped me, like, this realization to also realize, like,
yeah,
you know, you always want like everything that everyone else is getting. You're like, oh my God, like I would be perfect for that, this and that. But like, what is given to you is perfect for you, you know. Like, you got to stop, like, you know, when I was younger, I'd always, you know, strive to want what other people had, but then I realized, like, it makes me, you know, more unhappy trying to strive for something that is not meant for me, you know.
Yes, trying to live somebody else's career, because I know I'll fantasize about makeup artists like careers or who their clients are, and I'm like, God, I just want to be doing I want to be that makeup artist who does da 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 da. And I'm just like, you know what? Like you're saying though, the less you just remove yourself, because I 100% then just feel defeated more often than not, because I can't be proud in what I have accomplished. I'm just comparing to all the things that I don't have, what somebody else has, and I'm never satisfied.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. It's like a vicious circle. So it's a really easier said than done, but it takes a minute to totally get there. And like, but I also believe 100%, I don't know about you, but it's a day-to-day kind of reminder, mental health focus of like, okay, just think about yourself, stay aligned with yourself, don't compare, don't do all that. And it's hard. It can be hard.
You know, I've gotten very good at it, and I've grown a lot since, you know, when I was 21. But, you know, even now, especially with like the pandemic and like the industry being very like, there's not very many jobs, but still like certain people able to like work consistently during this time, and I'm not doing as much right now. I have to constantly remind myself, like, you know, there's a reason for where I am at right now and what they're doing, you know, like maybe the universe wants me to like figure myself more, like, you know, like internally, like emotionally, spiritually, like, where am I, you know, what is going to benefit me, like whatever, you know, if am I taking steps to try to open other new doors, you know, in this industry or whatever. But
it's definitely preparing you. I think I forget what, I believe it was my friend Ellen Tamaki. She's an actress that's on Charmed, and she's incredible. And she always tells me, when you're not booked, okay, when we're not, we kind of have the lull times. And even when we have our consistent work, there still is just seasonal downtimes, like holidays, other things, depending. There is still lulls of just moments of maybe a month or two. And she always looks at it, her downtime. She calls it, what does she say? It's like a off-season training for her. So she's like, I might not be working, but that just is for me to either mentally prepare for the next thing that's coming, physically healthy, get my body back intact, whatever I need to do, you know, health-wise. Maybe that allots her for time to go and, like you're saying, you go and train, you're still moving your body and getting and doing things that we need to do. So it's like when we look at the downtime as less negative of like, I'm not booked, look at it as an opportunity to fill the space with, okay, but look at all the things I can do in this downtime. It really helps you mentally not feel as defeated.
For sure. I agree with that.
Yeah, 1,000. Well, I want to ask you one more question, because you've given us all the tea, all the things. I so appreciate it. What would be, this is like my new question I keep asking people because I'm just curious about it, but what is the biggest misconception about living the lifestyle that you do, as far as being a dancer and touring around the world with artists and, you know, doing what you do? What is the biggest misconception that people often think about this career and what it's like versus maybe what it is? What would be a misconception to being a background dancer?
I mean, I think one of the things in general would probably be that it's like, because you're working with celebrities, that your life is automatically like lavish and like now you're gonna be, you know, carrying these like name brand this and that, you're driving this car or whatever.
Yes.
Some people have that, you know, but like it's not a guarantee, and it's not like a regular thing. Like, people forget that, like, people actually just don't know that, like, dancers are at the very bottom of the totem pole of, like, everything. Like, we get treated, you know, like, kind of like the worst on every job. We're treated basically like a plus extra, like an extra, but like slightly above, you know, like, and it's like, it's crazy because we put so much time and effort into our training, into our health, into our bodies. We're exerting so much for you. We're still at the very bottom. Yeah. But yeah, like, you know, you think that it's going to be like that, but like, for me, you know, the first year and a half, paycheck to paycheck. And even once you get that first job, you still have to work through those lulls, and you have to learn how to be good with your money, especially living out in LA or New York. Like, rent is not cheap. Rent is not cheap, especially if you know, and then like also driving, there's a lot of driving involved. I don't drive, but you know, everyone who does drive,
good you know, for you. I don't know how you get around in LA. What?
I bike myself around, and honey. Okay, or, that's fine. Rides off of friends, but I should probably learn how to drive this year. You know, I've been saying that for like 6 years.
It might be the year, Winnie.
We'll see if I actually get a license. But I think I mean, for me, tour-wise, like, I don't think there was any really big misconception. Like, it was kind of exactly how
you saw, right?
It, minus, like, you know, in my brain, for some reason, I assumed that they all flew on like private jets and, you know, first class or something like that. Haha, jokes on me. Like,
no, coaches too, honey. That's where we live. Yeah,
economy with your legs, you know. Like, I mean, there's been times where I've had the luxury of going on like a private plane or whatever here and there, but it's not. That is not a thing that happens on like a big tour like that, you know.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know why you just think that all the merch that everyone wears, that you get that for free, but you generally don't get that for free.
You don't.
You get a discount.
You know, even Lion King, I'm like, y'all make so much money, you don't want to give me a tracksuit for free? I work my booty off, and they're like, no, we make revenue from that. I'm like,
exactly. So like that. I mean, those are like very minute, like superficial, you know.
But it all plays into. I mean, we live in a very superficial world. And I think what social media portrays and what we see, again, a lot of, especially young kids, like looking at it, it's like, it's Hollywood, it's exciting. And then once you're really in the business, you start realizing like, okay, like we had said earlier, it's a business. There's a lot of glamour. There's a lot of incredible moments and opportunities and things, but it still is, it is a job. It is what it is.
Oh, and then another thing for sure is like that. It's just, I don't know how to say what I'm saying, but like, you have to be very thick-skinned. You have to be a strong-minded person to persevere in an industry like this. Yes. Because unless you're like that lucky, you know, 0.1% that like automatically just gets success right out of the bat and continues that success, you are gonna have people saying no to you. Every single, like, constantly before you get like yes. Like, you'll probably get like 100 or 200 no's before you get like a single yes. You know,
single yes. And I don't think people realize.
Not let those no's like dampen you. If it's something that you really love and you really want to pursue, you have to just keep on going and not take anything like personal. I mean, obviously, use every no as an opportunity to still better yourself no matter what, but like don't use it as in like oh, you suck and you don't deserve to be in this industry. You don't have what it takes. Like, it's not that at all, but it is an industry that I think does weed out, you know, who is going to be able to thrive in this industry.
Agreed. And I like what you said, because I think the other thing with having people tell you no, it's also, you have to be careful. This one I learned because I am a naive little thing. Let me tell you, Winnie, I have a lot of faith in people. I'm an easy, trusting person. I immediately am an open book as well. So I let people in way more than I probably should, especially on a job or in a working environment, and letting people know what I'm up to, what I'm doing, what's coming up. Like, I'll give you everything. And you kind of forget, like, oh, you don't know what people are how they might feel about you. Maybe if they're intimidated by your journey or what you have to offer. And you do have to be careful that there are people out there that are in the business working with you. That's the trickier part, where it's not just the black and white of like the yes and getting in and then the no's as well. It's in that gray area where it's people amongst you that are in the business, that are also successful, that are also trying to push you over here and keep you down and say no, and wow, she's really talented, I'm intimidated by that, let me try to shrink that, let me try to, you know, almost manipulate you to not continue with your successes, or scare you out of opportunities or how you want to move. So you got to be careful. And always, I mean, I had to learn this the hard way, but you really do have to look out for yourself. I hate to say that because I'm such a community person and a big networker, and I love helping others, but it does happen where, you know, whether it has been my age at times, I think it could be talent at moments, whatever it is, that then somebody's like, I want to put her down. And I think that's something that people, I think, have to be aware of as well, to look out for is, you know, proceed with caution, if you will, when you're still networking and meeting people, because you don't always know people's intent right from jump.
Never, yeah. I agree.
Truly. We got to be careful. We just don't know. I lied to you because I do have one more question I realized I did want to touch on a little bit, which is just when you do get booked and you're on tour, whether you get the gig, I know a couple Rockettes that had told me once they have the gig, it's a contract, of course, you might have the show for the year or whatever it's, you know, panned out for, but then they have to re-audition. Like, it's not just, oh, you've made it now once through the, you know, the gate and you're in. It's like, oh, no. Now you have to keep coming back, regardless of even if you've toured with somebody before. Is that the same for dancers when you're touring with artists?
It honestly depends on the artist. It depends on the camp. It depends on the choreographer, the creative direction. Like, there's like a lot of tours or, you know, artists that like to have that loyalty to who they like to have on tour. Like, with Katy, you know, she had the same dancers for several years. Same with like Taylor Swift loves her, like, you know, specific dancers that she likes to bring back. Rihanna had like the girls that she was using for many, many years, and then it was like a whole, you know, switch out when I came in, and you know, so it just depends on the time. Like, we have no idea, you know, when she drops her next album, if she's going to bring us back or not, or if she's going to have people re-audition. Same with Katy, you know, like, I don't know what's going to happen on her next situation, but you just never know. You kind of have to be prepared to audition again. But obviously we would all love if people would just bring us back on, you know, but yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I just think people definitely would like to know that. I know I did. I was like, dang, because I really thought once you get it, it's like, I'm in it. Like, because that's usually, at least as a makeup artist, once I get the gig, it's kind of just rolls from there. And there's scarce times where I have to like get evaluated to keep the gig. So very interesting, very different. Winnie, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sitting with me, giving me all the things. And I'm just excited I got to actually meet you physically. What a treat. I really appreciate that, just your time and space today. So thank you so much.
I loved talking to you and sharing.
You did an amazing job, guys. I'm going to tag Winnie below. I'm going to share all her stuff. Follow her. Keep up with her on her tours and her life, her dancing, her shaker, her salt shaker's falling. It's fine. All of it. But thank you, Winnie. We will see you soon. Thank you, my love. Bye, girl.